What's up, composers? My name is Matthew Arriin. I'm a composer and cellist and the founder of the Sound Painters Studio. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about yet another kind of form that we find in the 20th and 21st century, and that's open form. Now, I'm not sure who coined the term open form. It might have been Pierre Boulez. But basically, an open form is a kind of form in which you have certain cells of music material or certain areas of exploration that can then be oscillated between in a free way, hence the term open form. In other words, the composer is going to decide on the individual elements or kinds of areas or textures or rhythmic cells or whatever other information, and the musicians are going to negotiate amongst themselves how they're going to do that, whether that be in a controlled, specific way, or if it's going to be more improvised and free. When I was in undergrad at the University of New Mexico, I actually learned about this kind of form from my composition teacher at that time, Jose Luis Hurtado, and he showed me these pieces by Stockhausen and Boulez, and I decided to write a cello solo that basically had this kind of open form. And so I would write these different small cells that were no more than 10 or 15 seconds long, sometimes even shorter than that. And I would also draw in the top corner, because I did them sort of on index card sized pieces of paper, I would draw in the top corner the sort of trajectory of dynamics and sort of like the contour of the melody, so that the performer could decide how they wanted to order them, whether that be sort of continuous following a smooth path through these trajectories, or if they wanted to have a more disjunct and discontinuous trajectory through these different cells. And so it can be kind of a game. There are a lot of different ways that composers can manifest this sort of open form. Another piece that comes to mind is a piece by Julio Estrada called Bajo el Volcán, which is for, I think it's for a double bass octet. The interesting thing about this piece, and I haven't seen the score, I imagine the way that it's notated is that there are specific kinds of descriptions or representations of sound environments that are numbered 1 through X. I don't know the exact number, as again, I haven't seen the score. I would love to see it, so if any of you know what it looks like, feel free to mention that in the comments. But in this piece, there are these various zones texturally that the double bass players are able to sort of like oscillate between. And if they use a conductor, the conductor would cue these various different textures, 1 through whatever, so that they start to create this amalgam of different environments sonically to explore. And so theoretically, this kind of open form could last anywhere from 1 minute to 1 hour to even longer, depending on the energy and stamina of the performers or like the constraints of the program in which this piece is being performed. So this is a very exciting kind of form, particularly for improvisers, because you can sort of take a sort of home base or a home texture, a home melodic area, and sort of like oscillate between other different areas to create contrast without sacrificing an overall feeling of structure, because you always have this sort of reference. So that's what I really like about this particular kind of form. And I haven't explored it as much in my recent music, but I would encourage you to explore this kind of form if you feel that constraining it to like sections or a linear trajectory actually limits the idea or limits the expressivity of what you're trying to achieve. So I would say that maybe in this case, your materials actually need to have an open form. They need to unfold in an unpredictable way. They need to unfold in a different way every time it's performed, every time someone else plays it, because the performer is then going to bring more to the table in terms of their interpretation. There's going to be more collaboration in the way that it's brought to life. If you find these kinds of videos helpful, then feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next lesson.